The Students Loan Bureau and you. Remember, every dollar counts. Is brought to you by the Students Loan Bureau.
Every dollar counts. The Student Loan Bureau encourages beneficiaries to make consistent monthly payments on their accounts, even if the amount is below the stipulated sum. Repay your student loan today. Call us at 936-4479 or 936-4416 to make payment arrangements. The Student Loan Bureau, financing higher education.
Welcome back. You're listening to At Your Service here on Nationwide 90 FM, a revolution in media. I'm your host, Vernon Darby, and coming up right now is Students Loan Bureau and you. Okay, this morning we have as our very special guests two beautiful ladies, yes. We're quite familiar with the voice of Analisa Allen. Good morning. How are you? How are you? Good to have you again.
Thank you.
And we also have Ms. Megan Deane. Got it right?
Absolutely.
Megan Deane, you are the CEO for Credit Info Jamaica. That is an organization I want to learn more about, and I'm sure all my listeners will want to stay with us to learn about Credit Info Jamaica.
Absolutely. So happy to be here, Vernon.
Good to have you. Analisa,
yes.
What's on today?
Well, again, we continue along the vein of repayment. Repayment is one of the SLBs, if not the issue of paramount importance. So we continue looking at the idea of repayment, encouraging our beneficiaries to repay. And of course today, because Ms. Deane is here with us, our very special guest, she will be helping us to understand the importance of the credit rating and credit scoring system in tandem with repayment of SLB loans. The Students Loan Bureau has signed on as an information provider to Credit Info Jamaica. We were one of the first signees to the agreement with Credit Info. So of course we are very happy to have Ms. Deane with us today to elaborate a bit on what credit scoring and credit reporting means for initially our guarantors of the Students Loan Bureau and of course people in general, so that they understand what credit rating is, what credit scoring is, and the importance of an institution or organization such as Credit Info. But of course, you know, as I speak of every week, and I continue again, we preach people's responsibilities to their country, to remembering that when you borrow from the Students Loan Bureau, it's not free money, it's not something that you're entitled to. We are helping you to get your education so that you move forward in life, so that you can help others to move forward in life. So, Ms. Deane, I'm going to ask...
I have to say, after preaching so well, I have to say, amen.
Amen. Yes, so Ms. Deane, help us to understand the importance of the credit rating system to beneficiaries and, more importantly, at this point, guarantors of the Students Loan Bureau.
Okay, thank you so much, Annalisa. Good morning to the listeners. Well, the credit reporting framework for the country was formalized in 2012 with the issuance of our license. We're the first licensed credit bureau. And as Annalisa said, because of the importance of having credit information to help in the decision-making process, the Students Loan Bureau was actually one of our forerunners, one of the first set of institutions to sign on to our credit reporting service. What we do for the Students Loan Bureau and all the other credit information providers is to have in a single place, essentially the credit report, all of the information that is available in our system on the financial exposure of a credit subject and also a history of how the persons have dealt with their credit responsibilities, and the legislation allows us to keep information for 7 years.
Okay, so
for 7 years.
7 years historic information can be brought into the credit report, and that's one of the legal sections that deal with how we collect data.
Okay, so in terms of our guarantors now, let us provide the listeners with an understanding of what exactly it means directly to our guarantors.
Okay, well, for the guarantors, one of the things, as you mentioned in your opening statement, is that the credit reporting, the credit scoring is really to help not just institutions make informed decisions, but also to help the individuals with their own financial responsibilities. And as far as the guarantors are concerned, there are two aspects that need to be evaluated. One, the Students' Loan Bureau is going to pull your credit report and look to see what your other credit exposures are to determine beforehand if you can actually take on the additional responsibility of guaranteeing the borrowing of one of the persons accessing the financing for their academic support. I know, I have certainly heard that there are persons who are really very generous with wanting to guarantee from a good heart, and because they know that persons require a guarantor. But actually providing a guarantee, being a guarantor, is a very serious financial commitment.
Yes, it
you
is.
have to consider when providing that guarantee that in a worst case scenario where, let's say, the person graduates and doesn't find a job for a while, or they default on the loan, they migrate and you don't know where they are, and the Students' Loan Bureau doesn't know where they are, their loan becomes your obligation.
It's very important that you spoke to that, because over the past couple of months we have been stressing the importance of the guarantor in the whole aspect of repayment, because many persons sign on as guarantors thinking, oh, Johnny just wants to go to school and I am going to sign this paper for him. But no, really, it's a responsibility, and it's encouraging these persons to know, yes, I am here for you, but if you don't pay back this loan, it's going to fall on my shoulders.
Yes, they have to know that they love the person enough to pay that facility for them.
That's correct.
And in fact, Annalisa and Vernon, one of the things the listeners need to understand is that once the student loan evaluates their credit report and determines, yes, based on the exposure you have now and the income that you indicate that you have and so on, that they will accept you as a guarantor, because it's a case of you accepting, right?
Yes, it is.
It's not automatic.
No.
So after you have evaluated and accepted them as a guarantor, the fact that they're guaranteeing that facility will be reported to our credit bureau, and that information will now be put on your credit report, so that when you go to another institution and they're evaluating you for a facility, they're going to take into consideration the fact that you have what is called a contingent liability. It may occur or it may not, and they will assume in evaluating that it will occur, because they have to take that worst case scenario. So they will assume that in addition to the hire purchase loan and the credit card and whichever other installment loan you had and the motor vehicle loan, that you also have a student loan, because essentially that guarantee that you have given is your obligation as well.
I believe, many of our listeners,
don't understand
they don't understand it. And although you've been talking about this for quite some time now, I think personally believe that it's just starting now. Now, you said before that you collect data for the past 7 years. Based on information I have received from my listeners, they believe that you are going to start collecting data now. So if they have a bad debt from, say, probably 2-3 years ago, or they're in problems with any financial institution, that would not be used at this time.
Well, we have the capability to collect it.
Yes.
Most institutions that are reporting to us have not been able to give us that historic information.
Yes.
So they have sent us, in the initial instance, the open facilities. So you have a loan that was negotiated 3 years ago. It's not closed. You're still paying it. That loan will be reported.
And the SLB has begun to provide the Credit Bureau with information. So our application period recently ended. So of course, once the guarantor segment begins, both the guarantors and the applicants will be signing a credit disclosure document, which in essence gives the SLB the permission to relay their information on whatever they are pursuing with the SLB to the Credit Bureau.
So let me make sure that I have it right. It means, therefore, if your credit rating, although the Credit Bureau was not around for what? It's been around how long?
We went live in July of last year, so we're coming up to our first anniversary.
No. What I'm trying to ascertain, if my credit has been bad for the past 5-6 years, can that impact on my credit rating at this point?
No, no, it wouldn't affect you now. What is affecting you now is how you have been paying on the facilities that have been reported to us since last year when we went live. So we started collecting the information in May to have a base for when we started. And so the institutions that have been reporting to us, we have been picking up the trend of how you have been paying over the last many months. How you were paying before we went live, that is between you and the institution. So now is a good time for persons to really look at their financial obligations and be sure that they're honoring, you know, the commitments that they have made. And if they find for whatever reason that they can't, the better thing to do is to go into your institution, renegotiate your facilities. Most institutions, I would say all institutions, want to work with their borrowers. They don't want to have delinquent accounts on their books. So they would prefer to restructure that facility, extend the period for payment, lower the monthly payment amount to something that you both agree is manageable, and then you move on from there.
And it's important and it's noteworthy that you mentioned that, Ms. Deane, because the SLB currently has our Every Dollar Counts campaign being pushed, and that is the basis for our Every Dollar Counts campaign. We are saying, you know, if you really cannot manage it, instead of letting your loan become delinquent or hiding somewhere where we can't find you, make contact with us, let us know what's happening. And you used a very important phrase that I love, and I wrote it down: financial responsibility. Having this credit report, it says to you, okay, this is what I've undertaken. These are the liabilities that I have. So I'm hoping that with the inception and onset of the Credit Bureau, that the credit report helps to make people more financially responsible, especially our borrowers at the SLB, because we understand that times may be hard, things may be difficult, and people want to access funding for not only education but houses, cars, furniture, etc. But we all need to push and encourage financial responsibility. Now, as you speak, I picture it in my mind, getting my credit report and saying, all right, how am I going to let the information there help me to manage my finances?
Well, that's a question, and I would like to